Ciao a tutti and welcome to Piacenza. Piacenza is a small town in the middle of Emilia-Romagna, and Emilia-Romagna is famous in the world because it's home of the charcuterie in Italy. Why is so famous Piacenza? Because it's home of 3 different PDO products. We have the pancetta piacentina, the salami piacentino, but the most important one we are going to explore today is actually the Coppa. Amazing product made with the neck of the pigs and actually aged for a long time until you reach a very deep flavor but very sweet. Here we are at the Antica Salumeria Garetti, home of the famous Coppa, one probably of the oldest shop in downtown Piacenza in Plaza Duomo. And here you can see the really famous Coppa Piacentina, very particular age and tie by hand. Coppa is very different from all the other products of charcuterie, and this is why I think is less produced all around the US. Why? Because the technique is very different. It's not like a prosciutto crudo, it's not require the aging and the technique of the prosciutto crudo, is not require the one of the salami. So this is why it takes a little bit more time before people start to know and start to produce. But after they try the fantastic flavor, become more and more and more popular. Coppa is very famous here in Piacenza and is the most famous one because it's the grandfather, let's say, of all the Coppa. Is where the Coppa was born. Thanks also to the microclimate of this particular region of Italy, with a lot of humidity, is going to give this kind of really taste of cured meat. Mold, cured meat, very particular flavor, amazing, like a old aged cheese. Here we have a piece of Coppa and you can see really well the marbling of the fat. Fat is basically like a root, is going everywhere. Every single muscle has its own piece of fat. And why is so important? Because this fat is going to deliver all the flavor. The muscle is a very important muscle, is the neck of the pig. And if you think how big is the head of the pig, this muscle should be very powerful because you need to keep the head up, in the air basically. And so the texture of the fat and the texture of the lean is very similar. This is why when you slice and you put in your mouth, you don't feel any kind of difference in texture between fat and lean, but the flavor coming from the fat is arriving and is covering all your mouth with a very powerful and interesting flavor. Here we talk about how to slice in the Coppa, how to taste in the Coppa in the best way possible. Some Coppa is very aged, like this one is 1 year old. But usually we talk about 3-4 months, and because it's a whole muscle product, long age, if you slice thick, it's not probably the best solution, but thin and in your mouth, melting, amazing. The fabulous thing of the Coppa is very rich in flavor, like we told before. So it's easy to pair with everything coming in your mind. In this case, we have like a piece of Parmigiano Reggiano, so strong flavor, but think about also with blue cheese, with other cheese you like more, age is perfect. Wine, amazing. Red wine, in this case Gotturno, the wine, let's say, is made here in this area, perfect. It's break a little bit like the fat in your mouth and is going to deliver more flavor. So Coppa is more an obscure product, but just because it's less famous. The most famous one is prosciutto di Parma, for sure, but little by little become also very well known in the US. One of my favorite part of my work is actually introducing a new product to US people. The people, they don't know the tradition behind the product, the flavor, and everything connected. And with the Coppa was amazing. Why? Because Coppa is a texture is so different from a regular charcuterie product. and flavor is so deep and with some note of like holiday, you know, and I usually like to see the face when they take the first bite, and they're usually afraid about the content of fat or everything, but then when they take the first bite, you see the face become more relaxed and they are very happy and enjoy the product. Coppa for me is one of the best salumi, is one of my favorite. Why? Because the flavor is really bold, is really rich, but more than everything I like the texture. With all the inclusion of the fat, when you put it in your mouth, it's an explosion of flavor and it's soft and sweet. Amazing product.